when we come to the basic skills, some of the main feedback that we give people is to start and finish in the same section. Now what that means is when you're doing a yield or a no yield, you need to be, if you're doing the hind, you need to start and finish alongside the hind. So at level 1 we start and finish alongside the hind. Once we can do that, then we'll finish in different sections. So as you can see here, as I stand back here, he moves around, he wants me to stand near his shoulder. Okay, so that means he's trying to be in charge of me. So here he's got to learn to accept me in this position here. So if I yield him, so I'll do a bit of a no contact yield here, just yield him around, just getting forward a bit, finish my yield, so I've relaxed now, finish in position. Okay, ideally if you can do the whole yield, so here I'm in line with the hind, staying in line with the hind as I go, here I relax, here he's put me near his shoulder when he stopped, and then I've finished next to his hind. So it's important that I finish next to his hind because he wants to put me near his shoulder. So the same when we're doing the forequarter. When you're doing the forequarter yield, make sure you finish in the same spot you started. Okay, because generally they try and walk forward a bit and they'll put you back here. Okay, so if you start off here, so do a no contact again. There he gives, good boy. I finish, he's moved a bit, I've got to move with him. And so I finish in that same section. It's real important, because this will affect your leadership. When you're doing the actual basic skills, try and stay in the same spot. Try not to end up down the other end of the school or the other end of the arena when you're doing your task. Okay, because all those little things affect your leadership and your relationship with your horse. Sometimes horses are a little bit heavy in the backup, and when you go to push on the nose here, they get a little bit stuck. Okay, so in your contact yields. So just to help out, sometimes you can put your other hand down here, just to make it clearer to them that you want them to go backwards. Okay, so hand on the nose, hand on the chest, help them out, rub them to a stop. Okay, so just there he wanted to put his head down to finish, so I asked him to put his head up, because where I finish is the reward, and that's what he thinks he's supposed to do. So if I let him put his head down, then he's going to do that every time. So I've got to be careful what I reward on my horse. Common thing that we get in the no yield is again the same sort of thing as the contact and the no contact yields. You've got to finish in the same section. When you're desensitizing the horse, so here I'm say desensitizing his middle, I need to be able to stand in line with his middle as I'm doing that. Okay, or if it's his hind, I need to be able to stand in line with his hind without him moving like that. So I'll just put him back over here. Okay, so no. So in line with the hind. Okay, so he did a good demo there of trying to reposition me, so that's what we've got to look out for. If you're desensitizing the hind, you've got to try and do that alongside the hind. Okay, of course you do the front bit first. When you're doing his forequarter yield, if they start to come forward, just rock them their weight back a little bit like that, and then across. Okay, and here I'm trying to, he's sort of going back a bit too much. I'll just turn around so you guys can see. So here we're doing a forequarter yield. Here he's gone forward too much. I just put my hand on his chest, or I could even use the lead rope there to back him up a little, then across. When he does a nice yield across without walking forward or backwards, that's what I'm going to reward. I'm going to stop on that and release on that. What you don't want when you're doing your forequarter yield is the back end doing more work, like moving around more than the front end. So then it's not a forequarter yield, it's a hindquarter. So if you're moving the front end across, the front end should be doing the majority of work. Okay. Now at this level you only have to do about 3 steps. Okay, but you want to be able to build to where you can do a full turn, full circle, and have the hindquarter stay still, and vice versa for the hindquarter yield. Some horses aren't real keen on lowering their head in the contact yield. So one of the first things you'll need to do is is to, of course, make sure you can desensitize this spot, because usually they don't yield to that spot when they need a bit of desensitizing in that area. But once they can once they're desensitized to that, then you can do your contact yield here. So just closing your fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, just getting them to give to that. Okay. Now, if they're real braced, some horses they doze off and go to sleep sometimes, and they'll lock their legs and lock their neck in a sleep position. So for those horses, just ask them to laterally flex a little bit, and then lower their head. Okay. And that'll help. When you laterally flex them, it'll unlock that sleep position that horses go into, so they don't fall over when they're asleep in the paddock. Okay, so just laterally flex and then lower their head. It'll help them out for some of those horses who doze off sometimes.